This is a DJ Leezy certified mixtape.
I'm the one that you're looking for.
DJ Leezy.
You can't stop my vibe. You can't stop my vibe.
I put O'Keller on my back and told the city. I put O'Keller on my back and told the city.
Don't look around now.
You know who it is.
It's the gatekeepers coming through your sound system.
Never mind what haters say, ignore them till they fade away. I never been a hater, still I love them in a crazy way.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your DJ.
DJ Leezy.
We back at it again. Talk to City Volume 4, my nigga. We coming in.
Basically, I got the name in college actually. I graduated from FAMU, I went to FAMU, and I got the name in college actually, living in a room with about, 10 other people. It was a big dorm, and so they always like used to joke around all the time and play off my name. My name's Terrence Lewis, so they played off my last name a lot. So they used to be like, what's happening, T. Lou, T. Leezy, and next thing you know, the whole Leezy thing stuck, so the whole DJ thing, and it just merged together. I'm originally born and raised Ocala, Florida, 352, Swamp City, 9th Ave, Competition Park. What's happening? I've been DJing officially, it's been about since I went off the FAMU, so that had to be about 2000, 99, 2000. So about 10 to 12 years actually making money doing it, but as a hobby, I'd say since maybe junior year of high school. So since maybe like 96, 97. It started out as a hobby, and naturally as a human, and me personally growing up, I've always been shy. So I always wanted to stay to myself. So it ended up me turning into my whole little staying in my cubby hole type thing, being in my room, and it started with my uncle. My uncle used to DJ back in the day at the Brown Derby, and he started with 2 Techniques vinyl turntables. That's how I started DJing off of actual turntables. So I saw his, and he been stopped DJing. So he had them tucked away in a room one day, and I went over his house, and I was like, I'm big on electronics. I like electronics. So I looked down, and I saw him, and I asked him, did he still work? He was like, I don't know, try them out. So I plugged them up, and they got power. And if you got power to a turntable, that turntable gonna spin. So I picked them up, and of course the needles were broken because he had stopped DJing for well over 10 years. I found out where to get needles from, started buying records, and I think I was 15 to 16 at the time, and I just started picking them up. I went and bought a Radio Shack $30 mixer, and from that time, I just picked it up and just started messing around with it as a hobby. And once that hobby picked up, and my shyness just started slowly going away. And that's pretty much how it actually started. Somebody knocked on the door? It is actually a humbling experience actually, because that's one of the most greatest feelings in the world, to personally have you as basically the center of attention, and you having a club from maybe 150 people to well over 600 people. Basically, I like to call it the puppet master syndrome. It's like basically whatever I tell them to do, they would do it, just because they like to deal with me on, they deal with me on a real personable level. So nothing, I hate to sound like this because I'm not a cocky dude, but it's like whatever I say do, they do it. And it's just off the strength of, that's the best feeling in the world, knowing that you can actually make somebody's day. You can actually have somebody who had a personal tragedy, or you have somebody who's actually had something that they were going on in their life personally, to where they'll come to the club for 4 hours and they take their mind off of everything that they were doing. And you can come there and just make them totally forget about it for 3 to 4 hours. And if I can do that, that's where my gratification comes from. It might sound crazy. People might say, oh, well, don't you do it for the money? Yeah, but to make somebody life change, just for a few hours, you can't really beat. locally, I would have to actually say I'm a real big fan of all the traditional, old school throwback artists. You know, if I can either, not even for them to rap, but just for them to get on there and say something for people to pay homage, I would love for them to just to get their voice on it. For instance, the original Strangers crew, Condition Red, my family from back in the day, just getting them on there. You know, I'd even love to have, you know, rest in peace, Big Ace, but I would love to have all 3 members of Jam Pony on there talking that junk. And anybody that, you know, have came through the Ocala scene that has had an impact over the years. Now, I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of them now and over the past years, but I would just love to get everybody on there showcasing it, because at the end of the day, it's one thing that I do know that I do, regardless of if anybody have anything to say as far as hating wise go, they know I've never had a problem showing love to anybody. So it's just a matter of just making sure everybody get their just due, even if, you know, they feel as if they've never received any credit. Before I had my daughter, it was just the simple fact of just being able to provide. Because I grew up in a real, I don't want to say strict, but it was either hard work or no work. So you had to work, and that was one thing about it. If you didn't work, you didn't get no respect. So that's one thing my granddad always taught me. You're going to have to work. So it's just a matter of, you know, you got to work, you got to provide. So it's all about work, and more work. That's all I know. That's the only way that you know how to, you know, feel some sense of fulfillment in your life, is just working and knowing that you did something or you started something to where, you know, there was a sense of accomplishment. So it's all about the grind and the hustle and everything that a lot of people claim to talk about. Most people that's actually doing it are not really saying much about it because they're too busy actually working and doing what they got to do. There's really no time for all the in-between and, you know, spending 30 minutes out your day on Twitter, on Facebook, updating your status every 20 seconds, telling you about how much you grinding, how much you working and all that. Yeah, it's good to keep the social network involved and informed, but you still gotta work at the end of the day. It involves action, basically. Business venture wise, as much as I told myself I was never going into doing this, I told myself because it's so stressful that I would never, ever become a promoter, because I leave that to the promoters, because all I want to do is do my job. And the promoter job, for a lot of people don't realize, it's a lot of hard work. But I do personally feel as if, you know, maybe once a month or you know, once every quarter, I do want to have my hand in that promotional arena, you know, putting on an event. I'm actually, within the next 6 months to a year, I'm actually finally going to start doing an event, you know, where I'm hosting a once a year party or a once a year event. It could be a cookout, basketball tournament, it could be, you know, a pool party. That's actually coming. I'm, you know, working with a couple promoters to get that kicked off the ground. A couple business ventures that I'm working on. Paperwork is almost complete on, so once it's done, unlike a lot of people who talk about it before it actually gets done, once it's done, then I'll talk about it. Contracted, no, but I'm specifically independent contracted. Basically, that's kind of like I'm not really tied down to anybody. It's pretty much who does the best work and who works with you well. It's not a matter of who's offering the most money, because if it was down to who's offering the most money, I'll be in other spots. But to me, it's based off of how business is handled. And that's how I determine a lot of times whether I take gigs, because I don't take any and every gig. A lot of people every day bother me about, hey, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. And it's not me just being, you know, having my nose up in the air, but, you know, my name is on the line and also the person who's trying to bring me in's name is on the line. So I don't want to, you know, if I don't feel like I can qualify to do what you got to do, I'll be more than glad to pass it off. So I'm more selective of what I do. So it's more I'm real, I hate to say picky, but I'm more picky to where I am an independent contractor, but I'm more specific, catered to, based off of how you handle your business. Social networking is very important in this day and age. We didn't have this, 5-10 years ago, but it makes it a lot easier to reach out to people who want to get a hold of you, and how you can easily separate the BS from what's reality. Facebook and Twitter are my two #1 top ways of communication via social network. Email, strictly for music. So Facebook-wise, facebook.com/DJ Leezy 352, DJLEEZY 352. On Twitter, @DJLEEZY. I'm always on there tweeting back and forth, clowning all the time. That's just how I interact with people. It's a lot better if you interact with them than them thinking that you stuck up or got your head up. And with email, specifically for music, DJLeezy352 @gmail. Send music. A lot of times people ask me, where can I send music? Where do you send music? Just send it to that email address. And don't ask me, did you get it? If it didn't bounce back, I got it. And the way I judge music is, if I reach out to you once you send it to me, that lets you know if it's good or not. It's not good, or don't bug me every 5 seconds asking me, did you hear my song hot, yada, yada, yada. The best way, and this is with anything, anybody, any DJ, if they're reaching out to you for your music, that's when you should react. You should never bug them to the point to where they don't want to deal with you when it comes to music. Always sit back, and if they say, hey, send it here, send it and just wait. If you don't hear nothing, go back in the lab, put out another one, because I guarantee you, if it's me, if it's anybody else that DJs, if they hear something that catches their ear, they're going to reach out.
That's good.
Artist wise, I think my personal advice from doing this, and I've been working with mid-level artists, Tom G, Papa Duck, Iceberg, Trick Daddy, pretty much anybody in Florida, like a mid-level artist that you would know, I probably work with them. And from my experience with them, my advice would be to not be so overzealous with the DJ, because I've seen a lot of times where local cats, independent cats, a lot of times they try to put the blame on the DJ so much to where they think, oh, well, it's the DJ fault that my song ain't hot. No, it starts with the artist first, because if you make a hot song, the DJ is gonna reach out to you, bottom line. You don't have to be so overzealous and, beefing with the DJ, and it's the DJ fault because I ain't playing the song. No, it starts. It's just like making a cake. You gotta have all the right ingredients for it to work properly. So I just say, don't be so overzealous. Don't bother them so much. Reach out, check in with them every now and then. To those that drink and smoke, holler at them. Let them know what they like. Sometimes that will get your foot in the door. Sometimes, sometimes take them out to eat, or whatever, or even just go out and just holler at them and talk to them on a personal level. Because a lot of times they feeling like a piece of meat. Sometimes, like females feel sometimes. You hitting on them so much they don't want to be bothered with you. So it's just a matter of just being humble. Always gotta end it up with shout outs, but I always gotta give it up for, Bandwagon News for the interview. I definitely appreciate it. Y'all stepped to me real humble, and whenever I had a chance to clear my schedule, that was big. Picture Lady Photos, that's my fam there. Picture Lady, she always good. Customer service, if you want it done right, holla at my cuz. She will take care of your bottom line. Definitely want to give a big shout out to the whole city. It's a lot of people that I deal with, I associate with in the 352, so, don't feel a certain type of way if I left you off, but, 2 times for, Goodfellas, 2 times for Certified, 2 times for, all the DJs, DJ Billy, DJ Excel, Mike, 2 times for Fresh Force DJs, they've been holding it down for a minute. 2 times for pretty much everybody, man. Anybody that's doing big, man. Music Speaks promo, you know, everybody, man. I just, you know, it's so many people to name that I know personally deal with me on a personal level 2 times. If you know I mess with you, I mess with you. And that's what I got. This your boy DJ Leezy 352, represent Ocala, Florida. I'm locked in. We here, baby. We live 352. We gonna be on the map eventually one day, baby. So from the bottom to the top, 352. From the north to the south to the east to the west. This your boy DJ Leezy.